He is feared as the unpredictable commander-in-chief of the world's most powerful army. Most people see him as a brazen tyrant or a flamboyant clown with extremely bad manners.
But I believe that the European Union should pay much more than it does now.
He often says things that are simply unthinkable in diplomacy. He is rude and can easily offend.
Everything can change at any moment. One phone call and everything is different.
His harsh statements and direct threats can lead either to confrontation or to the resolution of conflicts.
You know, you can have any opinion about him you want. After all, at first, during his initial presidential term, everyone said that he was mainly a businessman and that he didn't really understand politics, that he could make a lot of mistakes.
All of this is about the US President Donald Trump. The bunker Tsar harshly criticizes the West in front of Kremlin-pooled journalists. But when a call comes from the White House, he rushes to the Kremlin even at midnight. For many years now, Putin has managed to successfully manipulate Trump, whether he's the President of America or just an ordinary businessman.
How are you going to perform my play exactly?
Trump is an expensive, sometimes unruly, but very profitable puppet in Putin's hands. He has been accused of ties to Russia more than once.
He was afraid to take a step to the left, to the right, or say an extra word.
Donald Trump takes a rather strange position.
The Russian investigation honestly doesn't bother me at all, because in my view it's all completely made up.
He refuses to use the carrot and stick approach with Russia. Mostly he tries to appease Putin with sweet talk. They want to turn it off, aiming for Shakira almost by the gram. But Putin is leading him by the nose and continues to act lawlessly.
Who to trust and who not to trust, and is it possible to trust anyone? You can't trust anyone.
How did it happen that Trump calls a dictator his friend? After all, in essence, they are products of two radically opposite political systems.
He's not only a smart person, he's a pragmatic person.
Putin began his career in the repressive agency of the USSR. He served in the KGB and was listed as an intelligence officer in East Germany.
We'll catch them in the toilet and finish them off in the outhouse. The matter is closed.
Donald Trump was born into a very wealthy family of a New York real estate dealer.
He has a keen sense of what the voters expect from him.
Donald managed to avoid the draft during the Vietnam War, and later on, he started his own real estate business.
I've always been really good with money. I managed to make a fortune in just 4 days. 12 times more.
This start allowed Trump to build his own real estate empire, which includes residential buildings, hotels, and entertainment complexes.
A major advantage of President Trump is that he strives to fulfill his promises, first and foremost those made to the voters, to the American people.
Unlike Putin, who stayed in the shadows for a long time, Trump always sought public fame and even appeared in popular movies.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thank you.
His rapid career and the growth of his wealth have always raised a lot of questions.
I understand that everything related to the United States provokes a reaction from us.
According to one version, the Soviet intelligence agency KGB noticed this lover of easy big money in 1977 and finally recruited him during his visit to Moscow and St. Petersburg in 1987. It was then that Trump also received his secret code name.
It was in that year our agency recruited a 40-year-old businessman, Donald Trump, under codename Krasnov.
If we take this version at face value, we can confidently say this was the most successful recruitment in the entire history of Soviet intelligence services.
But he also appointed Putin's people to the most important positions in the United States, those responsible for our national security.
In addition to bribery, intelligence agencies always use compromising material as well. According to the dossier by former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele, the KGB had salacious information about Trump's stay in Russia, including a video of an orgy in a Moscow hotel involving the future US president and local prostitutes.
Do you want a great but pure love,
If Trump's connections in Moscow with prostitutes can only be confirmed by Russian intelligence agencies, then his adultery with porn stars is a fact proven in an American court. The adult film actress Stormy Daniels, although she received $130,000 from Donald's lawyer for her silence, still managed to tell the court the most incredible and truly disgusting details of her affair with Trump for money.
Did you tell Donald Trump to turn around and take off his pants?
Yes.
And did he take them off?
Yes, he turned around, pulled his pants down a bit, there was underwear and all that. I slapped him a couple of times.
Well, all that is a thing of the past now. And despite his wild youth, scandals, and testosterone going to his head, Trump made it to the top seat in the USA. At the same time, Donald drastically changed his image and became a model family man. The US leader settled quite comfortably in the White House, surrounding himself with family members and a much younger, beautiful wife. Such behavior is definitely not typical for the secretive Kremlin dweller.
You mentioned one woman, then another, but you probably haven't told us everything.
Putin does everything he can to hide his personal life and family from prying eyes. While Trump poses for the press with the beautiful Melania, the bunker dweller hides Alina Kabaeva in a castle in Altai.
He's old enough to be her father, and according to the press, she gave birth to 2 sons by him potential heirs to the Russian throne.
Both Trump and Putin are now over 70. They're both grandfathers, and both have grandchildren. But while one boasts about his heirs, the other does everything possible to hide his offspring. This is Trump's granddaughter Arabella, who sang for Xi Jinping without a hint of embarrassment. Go ahead, please. Just a moment, little Lily. Putin, on the other hand, refuses even to reveal the names or ages of his grandchildren.
As for my grandchildren, one of them is already going to kindergarten. You see what I mean? I don't want them to grow up as some kind of blood princes. I want them to grow up as normal people.
But there are still aspects in which Trump and Putin are absolutely alike. Both surround themselves with blatant sycophants or yes men.
Allow me to speak to you directly, bluntly, like an old man. You are indeed a truly great man, sire.
People who are absolutely ready to hang on their every word and fulfill any whim or absurdity of their unhinged masters.
This is truly the best president of my entire life.
That it was you personally, Vladimir Vladimirovich, who played a huge role in correcting this distortion in our history.
Both leaders make no secret of their desire to restore their countries to former great. Putin still suffers from the collapse of the USSR and wants to restore the empire.
I believe that we shouldn't reject anything. Not the positive things that were part of Russia's history, connected with the Tsarist Empire, nor the positive things. There were quite a few positive things in the history of the Soviet Union.
And Donald Trump hopes and truly promises to make America great again. There is something that unites Putin and Trump. And if it's not friendship, then it's certainly some other secret connection.
Give me my money, all.
Oh, man. You better tell me, are you going to work or not? I'm asking you for the last time.
According to opponents and many journalists, it was Russian hackers who reportedly helped Donald Trump become president.
Before he announced that he would run for president, he was of no interest to us at all.
Trump won the 2016 election and then spent almost his entire term defending himself and insisting that the interference by Putin's hackers had no effect on the outcome of the vote.
Complete nonsense. We were not acquainted. That's all the president said.
The President of the United States and the head of the Kremlin have known each other well for a long time and always speak about each other with utmost respect. They have often met in person. The first time was in 2017, after Trump became the 45th president, when they had a face-to-face conversation during the G20 summit in Hamburg.
Of course, phone conversations are not enough. Phone conversations are never sufficient.
If we want to address issues on a positive bilateral agenda, and the most important, pressing matters on the international agenda, then, of course, such face-to-face meetings are essential. The second meeting between the leaders of the US and Russia took place a few months later in Vietnam. Relations between the countries were tense. Washington imposed new sanctions against Moscow because of the war in eastern Ukraine, to which the Kremlin responded by demanding a reduction in the number of US diplomatic staff in the Russian Federation. In 2018, after Putin was re-elected, they would meet again at the G20 summit in Argentina. And then, for perhaps the first time, a rift would appear between them. During the event, the once inseparable friends didn't even want to shake each other's hands.
Our countries are great nuclear powers. We possess 90% of the world's nuclear arsenals, and that's not really a good thing. It's bad. I think we can do something about it.
Friendship is friendship, but tobacco is apart. Both leaders suffer from delusions of grandeur, and two narcissists can never get along in the same field.
Let them pick a target to strike, for example, somewhere in the city of Kiev. Concentrate all their air defense and missile defense forces there. And we'll strike there with the Oreshnik and see what happens.
Another meeting between Trump and Putin took place in the summer of 2019 during the G20 summit in Japan. And it was notable for Donald playfully asking Putin not to interfere in the US elections anymore. The whole thing looked like a bad performance. But the funniest part is that, in the end, Trump lost that election. Whatever the case, Putin and Trump maintained a warm personal relationship, even after Donald's presidential term ended in 2020.
What makes you think that President Trump trusts me and that I fully trust him? He defends the interests of the United States of America. I defend the interests of the Russian Federation.
And although Putin's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, consistently denied any information about personal contacts between his boss and Trump, reports about their interactions periodically leaked to the press. In particular, during the coronavirus pandemic, Donald Trump sent Putin scarce COVID-19 test kits for his personal use.
People in America at that time were desperately trying to get access to tests, and meanwhile, this guy is sending them all the way to Russia, to a dictator, for his own personal use and benefit. Those who grew up in the neighborhood would often say, you'd get exactly what's coming to you if you choose to support someone who is an opponent of your friends, especially when it's based on principles and values that we all fundamentally agree on.
In 2024, in the next presidential election, Donald Trump will win again. Putin will breathe a sigh of relief and wait.
The president hasn't been in that very White House you mentioned for 4 years. And during that time, certain changes have taken place in the economy, both globally and in the American economy.
A few weeks after the inauguration, the 47th President of the United States will call the head of the Russian Federation, and the pariah, shunned by the world, will return to global diplomacy.
A person reveals their true character, and in my opinion, he has shown himself in a very proper way, courageously, like a real man.
The European Union will be left bewildered. Trump will start tearing apart NATO, the EU, and his other allies. Ukraine, which is waging a war of liberation, will also suffer, especially President Zelensky.
Right now you have no trump cards. With us, only then will you start to have them. I don't play cards, Mr. President, I'm very serious. Do you play cards? You play with millions of people. You playing with the prospect of World War III.
The entire democratic world will be shocked by the rudeness of the White House leader and his pressure on Zelensky. At the same time, Trump's sanctions, criticism, and threats will bypass the aggressor and occupier Putin.
We know that the new administration led by President Trump is doing everything possible to restore at least something from what was practically reduced to zero, destroyed by the previous American administration.
Such behavior from Trump cannot help but please Moscow, which is why Russian and pro-Russian media openly sympathize with him. The sycophancy of corrupt media helps the Kremlin old man successfully manipulate the President of the United States.
We understand that not everyone is happy about the renewal of Russian-American contacts. Some segments of the Western elite are still intent on maintaining instability in the world, and these forces will try to disrupt or discredit the dialogue that has begun. We can see this happening.
Despite the blatant disregard for peace initiatives and the bunker villains' unwillingness to end the war, Trump continues to believe in their strong friendship. The eccentric head of the White House clearly has a weakness for authoritarianism, or even totalitarianism.
And now, the country will be ruled by a golden-haired dynasty.
Only a head like that
The vain Donald does not openly hide the fact that he himself would very much like to remain in the seat of power for life. However, changing the laws in the States won't be as easy as rewriting the Russian constitution for Putin, as some leaders have done elsewhere.
I don't know what's going to happen now. I have no idea. But for him, this is still his last term.
And yet, much could be forgiven to Trump if he fulfilled his promise to stop the war in Ukraine. The self-confident US leader confidently assured everyone that he would resolve this in 24 hours. All it takes is to get Zelensky and Putin at the same table.
Frankly, this was a significant loss from day one, and to be honest, it never should have happened. And it wouldn't have happened if I had been president at the time. I'm just trying to clean up the mess that Obama and Biden left me.
It turned out things weren't so simple. Putin has taken a liking to the image of a new Führer, and he wants to keep fighting. The Moscow Tsar is stalling for time, dodging, coming up with conditions that are more like ultimatums, and is frankly just stringing Trump along.
We need to meet. He and I will meet. I think we'll either solve the problem or we won't. But at the very least, everything will become clear.
Putin's deceit and duplicity are now so glaringly obvious and apparent to everyone that only one question remains. Does Donald really not understand this, or is he perhaps acting just as in Pushkin's famous poem, "Ah, it's easy to deceive me. I want to be deceived myself. I truly wish to be misled."
Donald Trump stated that he does not intend to tighten sanctions against Russia so as not to derail a peace deal between Moscow and Kiev.
However, even a recruited agent's patience can run out. Otherwise, like a soap bubble, his cover story might burst. Trump is starting to speak out more harshly about Putin. With his aggressive and irrational behavior, the Kremlin's master simply leaves the US president no other choice.
I have always had a very good relationship with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, but something has happened to him. He has completely lost his mind.
Behind the scenes at the White House, people are quietly whispering that Trump was extremely angry after Putin refused to personally come to the important peace talks with Zelensky in Istanbul and instead began massively and relentlessly bombing Ukrainian cities. Has Trump really seen the light? Will he finally move from words to action and start tightening the sanctions noose around Putin's neck? Not so fast. Barely a couple of days passed, and the fickle, two-faced agent Donald Krasnov was once again talking about mutually beneficial friendship with Putler.
I don't trust many people, but I think he respects me, and I believe he won't take over all of Ukraine.
Well, that's the last straw. Even Trump's most loyal associates and MAGA supporters are baffled and demanding explanations. Even they don't like that their leader is groveling and turning into Putin's puppet. And so, Donald throws them the main bone. He isn't putting pressure on the Kremlin, isn't rushing to strangle them with sanctions, because he believes in the possibility of resuming business with Russia.
Money is, of course, serious, but money is simply just money.
At stake are the opportunities for major trade deals between the US and Russia. And the States could make a lot of money, which means Ukraine can keep suffering and bleeding. After all, Trump wants to make America great again. The truth is, instead of being a truly great and visionary world leader, he is gradually turning it into a grand, elaborate, and deeply cynical trader. Russia wants large-scale trade with the US once this catastrophic, bloody massacre is over. And I agree. There is a huge opportunity to create many jobs and wealth. Its potential is limitless.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.